All right, macro perspective, peeps, what's going on? All right, so we have an esteemed guest, amazing guest today. This is an important moment for our history for the podcast because we're getting around to with Jessica Faith Graham. And the last time we had her here, we're talking about things in psychology, talking about yourself, self-worth, and just kind of around parenting, psychology tips and things like this. And what excited me to bring her back on was I opened up Instagram one day and it was her and her new book, her children's book. And that to me was like, wow, this is profound. Let's get her on and let's see what she's been up to. So yeah, Jessica, I wanted to just get you on. Thank you so much again and welcome back. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's just chat. How have you been and what got you to create a children's book? That is no easy feat or endeavor to step into. We'll step into that world. Yeah, let us know.
Something's
off.
Possibly.
We've never ran into this before. That's interesting.
We'll see if we can just pick it up from right there. Browser issues.
I've never, yeah. Sorry, Jessica.
I think everything's fine and we can keep going and she can keep talking about, you said the pandemic, your goal was to get to the park.
Okay, perfect. I got it. All right. So my goal was just to get my kids to the park that day. I had two kids out in the hallway fighting and just some crazy high-pitched screams were going on. My 2-year-old at the time was like legs flailing, kicking. And I just had a moment where I kind of just looked up and just said, I need help. And it was one of those moments where I didn't really know who I was saying it to, but to come back to it, or when I look back at it, I think the one person I needed help from was myself. And that kind of started me on a whole journey of learning how to get out of autopilot and really find more joy in my own life. I think I had just gotten really worn down and I was not kind of feeding myself, caring for myself in the way I needed to. And so step by step, I added self-care to my routine. That was the one thing I knew how to do. And I think that's the last time I was here, that's something we talked a lot about actually was self-care. And so for me, it started with just this simple, like I'm going to go for a walk every day. And it ended up materializing to a whole morning routine where I added meditation, journaling, writing, and a walk. And that just kind of started to really get me back to me. Anyway, after doing that for many months and kind of really looking at my own self a lot and how can I use some of the skills that I have to really help myself at this time. It was like I kind of went through this 9-month phase and all of a sudden I started writing. And just like this passion came out in me. From there, I would say I started writing like little blog articles that I was sharing with friends. And then one night, well, I have to stop for a second. So during that phase, I was reading a lot about just self-love. And so one of my favorite authors is Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Buddhist monk. And I was reading his book, Teachings on Love. And in that book, it talks about how important it is to love ourselves first, and then we can go out and give more love to others around us and to the world.
Yeah.
But that most
yeah. Crazy. That's crazy. Did you wait? So it's a children's book, right? Did you also do the illustrations? Yeah. Man, I'm kind of like flabbergasted because I'm like, this concept is. Marcos and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. Like the concept of love is so weird, in a good way. I know Marcos was saying we need to pause it for a second. That's okay. And then hold on. Did it drop again for you, Jessica? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that might. I wonder what is. Do you have another
browser
by any chance? That actually works. That works fine too.
It works.
If you want to come in,
okay.
Come on in, and we'll just continue from there. And we'll just cut this out, so don't even worry. See you in a few moments. Yeah. I've never seen this before. I think there's something either. Hey, always learning lessons, right? We'll put this in the bullet points somewhere, you know.
F&A, Cotton, F&A.
Yeah.
So it's annoying. It's annoying. Technology doesn't work. It's always something. It's always something, y'all.
It's always something. I need some sunlight up in this bitch.
Listen to the sultry sounds of our voices while we have this quick intermission.
Listen to the sultry sounds.
Give me your best radio voice.
Oh man, you are now listening to the sound on 92.1. The wave.
This is for you, Rachel, in post-production, where you get to listen to the the deep sounds of our voices as we get into character. Man, I
You know,
wish I had like an octave lower with my
yeah,
voice.
you know who has always a good voice? Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs Mike Rowe.
Yeah.
Mm,
He had a good voice because he was on radio, I think, for some time. And his
yeah.
narrations are good. And the guy, Aegis, the guy, the podcast Aegis guy, almost sounded like him, just a slight pitch different. And he's like, yeah, I never was in the podcasting world, but like someone said, oh, you have a radio voice. And then that kind of gave an idea.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The radio.
Okay.
Oh,
Jessica,
wow.
how we doing? We good?
I think so. We'll try this again.
And
Hopefully
how much
this
battery
works.
is on your phone? This looks
It's
good, by
good.
the way.
It's
Okay,
good,
cool.
actually.
This looks
Good.
good. I
All
want to
right.
just continue on. We'll kind of just demark here, but
Hold on,
Yep.
hold on. Give me. All right. Let me mark this.
yeah. So Jessica, this concept of love is kind of it's weird. But Marcos and I were talking about this, and I'll kind of let Marcos kind of steal it from here. But the concept of love, it's not the same everywhere. Like there's a love for yourself, but then I remember Marcos talking about this last week. It's like I love my wife or I love my partner, but like I don't. I love my kids, but there's like a different way of saying this love. Can you remind us of that? What happened there, Marcos? What you're kind of saying?
Yeah, like the Greeks have 4 different words for love, right? And each one kind of represents a different type of it. And I think the word love in the context of like the English language kind of sucks because it's like very ambiguous and it's like it's trying to bridge over like again, the love for my wife is a choice, right? I choose to love her, right? It is work. The love I have for my kids, it's not work. It's like this different thing. Even though it's a similar emotion and feel, it's like they are mine forever. They're stuck with me. They gotta love me. You know what I mean? And then my wife and I, we have to work towards this thing and figuring out what that love is. And then I'm sure my parents would say that the love that they feel for the grandkids is like a completely different type of love, right? And I'm actually just going to pull up what are the different loves in the Greek language, like because there's agape, right? Or I think that's how it's pronounced, right?
Yeah,
Hold on, let's see if AI can help me really quick.
but that's pretty cool. Like this concept of self love to this outer love. But yeah, you're right, Marcos. Like the 4 different loves because it's so different. The love that we have for our brethren, the love that we have for our kids, the love that we have for our
Yeah,
parents. It's all different. What are those words? What
There's
are it?
yeah, eros, right? So that's the romantic or passionate love, right? So again, kind of the wife and or the significant other. There's the friendship or affectionate love, which is philia. Okay, wait, I mean, like obviously we know what that word is, like something that you're really in love with. Like I feel like most of the times that philia is attached to words that we don't necessarily love to use, so I'm not going to say them. I can't think of a good one. There's storge, so familial love. Okay, so that's probably like parents, children, siblings, etc. There's again, is it agape, right? Unconditional or universal love. There's pragma. I didn't know there's actually 6 of them. And that was the Greeks. So the Greeks have 6. The Romans have 5, right? Self-love and Roman thought. There's charitable love. So again, like it's funny, like why did we choose to only have this one word representative of it? And it's like we know there's so many different things, and then you chose to write your book as the love inside, right? So yeah, I mean, this concept of love, like Seamus was saying, it was like kind of part of our. Was that just like the 2 of us episode?
Yes, or it was brought up, and then we were just talking about it.
Yeah,
Post episode.
yeah. I mean, like what? I mean, first off, did you find the title after you wrote the book, or did you have the title of the book and then wrote it?
No, for the record, I'm horrible with hooks and titles, and so the title very much came after the book. In fact, I believe it was changed. Yeah, it was changed twice, I think. And so we
Oh.
finally decided on the Love Inside.
What were the other 2 names or the other name?
I believe at one point it was The Love Inside You, and I'm trying to remember. The book is right here, so I'm looking at it, trying to see it. And it may have been a little bit longer before that, too. The Love Inside You, something else. I can't remember what the first one was, but we settled on The Love Inside. You know, one of the things, just as you were talking about the different types of love, and something I just kind of wrote down on a piece of paper, I think my own journey, it really was the fuel behind this book. And it was, not only do I want to teach this to my children, but this is for the child inside each of us too. It's for a message I want all parents, all people actually to know, because I just think that our relationship with ourself is such a special one. Like, it's up to us to really kind of fuel that, how we take care of ourselves, and that loving ourselves is such an important thing. And I don't know that it was something that I put much thought into before. The more that I did, though, I just found it gave me so much more livelihood in my own life. I just
Yeah.
became, yeah, my passions came out.
Yeah. I think, this is, I'm going to come at this from a different angle, just if that's okay. And
Of course.
I love that you are wanting to teach that to your kids and have that ingrained in them. But, the question is, some people might hear this and like, hey, love yourself. But they're like, man, that's cheesy. Like, how do you actually do that? I mean, I know you kind of told your story there of, you found that you weren't really doing a lot of self reflective time or self care kind of time. Is it that, or what if people are going down deep rabbit holes? I don't know, uh, behaviors that are really bringing them down, really low self esteem type behaviors, or really behaviors that are just damaging to themselves and the ones that are around them, and they're just so blind to even this concept of loving themselves. How would you, tell someone if they were ready to embark on that journey? Like, this is where you start. And if they couldn't read this book as a kid, unfortunately, already an adult, how do they do that?
That's a really great question. And first of all, I think that's okay. What I'm going to say, I'm not, it's something they have to discover on their own, because
Yeah.
everybody holds the answers to themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, but what are some things that I might say that might
Yeah. Yeah.
help? I think that identifying our negative self talk is huge, first of all. So, if that's something we can do to become more aware of our thoughts, and mindfulness techniques can definitely help with that, right?
Yeah.
Being grateful, expressing gratitude, taking some time throughout the day to look around and just, I'm expressing the gratitude for what we have. I think that can help too. There's always affirmations, but I find that if somebody's really down in the dumps, affirmations aren't always going to help, but it can obviously help to kind of like help with that positive self thoughts. Kind
Yeah.
of, yeah, so that can help. I think for me, the key was literally adding in self care each day, and it was just lovingly taking care of myself, and that opened the door. So that was the key for me. Just like I would take care of my children. How can I take care of myself now?
Yeah.
And I think it's being kind to ourselves too, just like we do to everyone else, to our friends.
Mhm.
And I think the other thing too, just really, if we can learn how to look at ourselves without the judgment, without the criticism, right? You're laughing because it's so hard, isn't it? As adults,
You're talking to two
yeah.
guys that are highly fixated on optimizing and making sure every little crevice is figured
Whoa,
out
whoa, whoa,
perfectly.
whoa, whoa! Speak for yourself, bro.
At least for me. At least for me.
You're the Mr. I need to optimize everything. I'm the Mr. like give me the minimum effective dose of anything, and I'm
True.
taking that
True.
route. Well, I guess that is optimization, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's funny, but yeah, I think it's true. I think for someone that's like, for me, like a hyper judgmental, self critical, not hyper judgmental, self critical. That's like hard,
I will say that you do probably have more of that than I do. I mean, I can be self-loathing and self-critical at times, but as of late, I feel like I'm trying to take a page out of Jessica's book and be more. I mean, doing more of the things that I need to do for myself, even if it's a little more selfish and like more of not asking for permission, but just like asking for forgiveness, and or more so telling like this is what's going on versus like asking like what should go on, which is like a very subtle difference. But like, I mean, today I was like, this is what I'm doing from 1:45 till 5:45, right? Listed these things out to my wife, and like I needed to tell her exactly what I was doing, and like these are the things I just need you to do today, which was like something I don't normally do. It was like, hey, what can I do to make it easier for you? But like that was my way of like expressing like some selfishness and self-care in a sense, because it's like these things are important to me. These are, Seamus is counting on me to be here for these 2 meetings, right, with our podcasting. I have another person who's relying on me in a sense that's like helping a student and a kid, like with their, getting prepared for a math test. Again, complete left field from what is, our normal bump and grind here. Yes, everybody that's listening to this, you made it this far into the episode. I do still help people in math, and I don't do it necessarily for the money. I do it because I want kids to be successful in life, and that my gift is hopefully explaining math concepts easily. But those, and that's also part of my self-care, like Jessica is describing here. Like, I do math homework with kids because it's such a break from the psychological component of our job that it actually is part of my fun, is like literally exploring math, which sounds like a fucking nerdy thing, but it is my nerdy thing, and I'm going to fucking own it because it makes
Yeah, it's funny because like you're over here doing computational things or math, and it's like for someone that's like the most biggest headache, but you're like, no, this is giving me ease, and it's something I love.
It's like when people say to me, they're like, so Cody Seamus called me out and he's like, I was like bitching about all the different messaging platforms that are constantly being used on a day. And he was like, oh, you're not in my Slack channel. I was like, dude, I don't need another fucking app to like communicate with people. I'm messaging you on Instagram. I'm probably going to send you an email later where we're going to text on this. And then we're going into a Zoom meeting. And then I'm going to get the like, I'm just like, can't there be one place to solve this all? And he's like, if you're not going into all these places, you're not growing. It's like, no, I'm growing, my friend. I am growing.
It's not in that vertical.
I just need to know where I need to go so I can tell Rachel where she needs to be, because again, like these things are just like the modern problem. Like my self-care to myself is like, I only want to worry about iMessage. Like the rest of the shit, like don't let it bother me. And Jessica, so in our first episode, after this was back when Rachel would watch every one of them and then like literally create notes to it. So she has like a personal tie to like literally every episode when it was in the beginning phases. She came up with this was like before AI got really good, right? And she would come up with the episode title names, and she ended up naming the title of that episode Self-Care Isn't Selfish, right? So we're still emanating the essence of that initial like title here today, which I think is like so cool and like fun, because 2 years later, there are certain things that you're keeping in there to keep yourself being like level-headed, steady, and optimized in that way. And it's obviously what you continue to like practice and instill into people you work with. And then also, I'm sure there's elements. I have not read the book, obviously. It's a short read, right? I'm imagining it's not a chapter book, and there's nice illustrations, so my kids would love it. So maybe I need to get it. Maybe my son will read it to me. Man, that'll be a full circle moment.
I love it.
Okay, so question though. Sorry, that was me having a long-winded soliloquy.
I heard some really great things in there, though. I love the teamwork between you and your wife. So, yay for that.
Well, that's on the communication. I mean, we could have a whole episode about that. So as of today, like it's March 2025. Again, like what's on your mind right now with like where your world is at, where the world is at, and how is it helping influence the way that you're helping with people's well-being? Because obviously like the book is doing something in particular. It felt like you felt this draw to it. And then you also have the things that you do, with work outside of the book too. So what does that look and feel like?
I think books become missions, really. We use them to get something out into the world, right? And so for me, this really was, at the time that I wrote it, not only did I want to teach this to my kids, but I also very much was looking around saying, this world needs a lot more love in it. And there's a lot of things going on that are really scary. And I think even today with where we're at with everything, I think I'm going to keep saying we need more love and we need more peace. And so how do we add that into this world where we're at? And that's where I just keep coming back to, it is within each of us. It starts with us, each of us. And so that's the goal of this book, is really to bring more love and peace into this world. That's the bigger one. That's my big mission. So,
Put you on a talking I don't know, road show. Just spread love to the nation, then we'll go through the world.
How do we help support that mission? Because I think you brought up mission. We've had some people talk about their company's mission in recent episodes. Like we're all about supporting everybody that's on here in some way, shape, or form. How does Seamus and I support that mission? What's the message we get out to do more, do more self-reflecting and create more love into the world?
Well, I think it's just that. Let's teach people to take care of ourselves first. right? To really honor ourselves, to speak kindly to ourselves, and then go out and do that in the world too. And I think the more we can teach that to everybody, starting with children and then bring it up even in adults. I think your podcast exists because everybody, the personal development is huge, right? And so I think that's just something we can all work on. And
Yeah.
it starts within us. The key, we all hold the keys to that for ourselves.
Yeah. I think what you're kind of getting there too is we talk about personal development and me being hypercritical, optimization, all these things. I was talking with my buddy the other day. He and I are big, like, do you know Joe DeSena? Joe Dispenza? No, Joe Dispenza,
Oh,
Becoming Supernatural book.
okay. Yeah.
And he sent me a message. I think I cried in the car for like 5 minutes as he sent it to me. He sent me a voice message, and he's like, he's a really important person in my life, and he's a really great guy. And he goes, I'm really trying to live life from a place not of lack, but from like abundance, or just not lack at least. And I think this personal development space, right, when people talk about self-love, it might be coming through a filter of like lack. Like, what is that? Am I lacking something? Right. And then they got to do things. And that's why with personal development, they're like, always buy another book, or always read another thing, or always listen to another podcast. And they're always buying personal development stuff. But the dangers of personal development is like they just keep processing more information as opposed to acting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can talk about how we have acts of love, right, Jessica? Like, what are acts of love to ourselves? What are acts of love to other people from a place not of lack, but from a place of giving? I know Marcos and I feel like I've said this a million times, and sometimes it hurts because I think we're doing it right now, but it's like, just keep giving and giving and keep giving. And then when you think you're not going to give some more, just keep giving. And I think Marcos and I have felt that tension of like, man, we're doing a lot of episodes, or that's just a lot of work, or, like there's just a lot. And, sometimes you're giving, but you're not getting anything. So, for some people, how do they act in accordance with like a place of abundance to give love either to themselves or to others without necessarily expecting anything back? What would you say about that?
Okay, that's a super hard question.
We'll break it down. Well, you don't have to answer it. It's not a yes or no.
But one of the things that I love that you said, and this is something you were talking about if you're moving from a place of lack, right? Versus you called it a place of giving. And so what it kind of made me think about, this is something I think in terms a lot about, is are we acting from a place of fear, or are we acting from a place of love? And I think it's kind of tied to a bit of what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Am I letting my heart lead my actions, or am I getting more into my thoughts, logically brain, there can be difference, right? But I often think, I look at myself, my own journey, and my goodness, fear has stopped me more than it has ever helped me. And I think it's even what you're saying too, just if you're in that place of lack, I can't do this. Who am I to be an author? People are going to laugh at me if I put out a book, right? Or if I start going on social media and creating this, right? Those are all things that have come through my head. They've all tried to stop me. But then if I lean into that, this is my passion, I can do this, that more, I really have a strong message to get out into the world. And so leaning into the love, right? And all of a sudden, it kind of opens that door to make it more possible for me to do the things that I've done. So I'm speaking for myself now, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying too about if we're looking at things from a view of I'm giving, but I'm not getting back yet. Well, we're looking for the things that aren't working then. But then too, if you're saying I'm giving, and oh wait, I just got a big speaking gig and I'm on my 154th episode of my podcast because I haven't given up yet. Those are wins, right? We have to celebrate those. And I think we are all so hard on ourselves. And
I appreciate the reminder. Lord knows I need it.
But I think too the way that you've said, like, you think in terms of I can't even say the word. Look, optimization.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at it that way. That's just the way your brain works. My best friend, she is so logically brain thinking. Like, she is just logic, logic, logic. And she often jokes with me because I'm so like moved from my heart. And so we often talk about this. And there's nothing wrong with setting yourself up for goals and what you want to achieve. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You make it all work. You make it happen. So I don't
Yeah.
think you should cut yourself down for that. It's
Okay.
just, I too am perfectionism runs deep in so I think it's just the way we reframe it for ourselves. Well, I want to meet these goals and I know I can do it. I have the skills to do it versus, oh, I'm never going to be good at it. I'm never going to get to it, which I don't think you do. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. This is like a psychological deep dive. Marcos, go ahead.
Well, no. You're right. Like stacking up the reminders, the wins. I'll pull my reminder out here in a little bit, but here's something I wanted to ask, right? Like, because we're on this thing and people neglecting, maybe like understanding their wins. When life gets chaotic, what's one way you've seen people neglect the self-care, and how does that ripple into the way they show up with their relationships?
Okay, that's a great question. I think it is so easy I've got 3 children right now, ages 5, 9, and 11, and life gets chaotic, right? Running around, loud, trying to get them out the door. I have 2 choices on how I show up. And I am a work in progress when it comes to this. My least favorite choice is when I start, we need to get out the door right now, like the yelling and all that kind of stuff. One of the things in my mindfulness training that I've learned, the biggest thing we can do to help is just to take a pause, just a simple pause to like deep breath, reset ourselves, and remind ourselves that the world's not going to come to a crashing end right now if we don't get out the door in 5 minutes, and we can calmly do this. We can still get out the door. I can lower my voice. I can talk in a different way that I'm going to feel a lot better about. That's probably going to help those relationships a little bit more. So the simple benefit of a pause has helped me, but this is an ongoing, it's a constant
It's a
battle.
constant journey and battle.
It
And
is.
yeah, like I think if people can take away anything, it's like, it's okay to pause for a second when life feels like stuff is so chaotic. That's often the times where I'll like binge watch a TV show and I'm like overwhelmed. It's like, I just want nothing to do with anything. I just need to pause on life. I need to just sit into this and get my mind thinking about something else. And that's part of my self-care, is like unplugging for a while, because I have to be so plugged into all these people's lives as health coach, even more so as of today than it was when we were doing our initial episode with you. And it's not that it's overwhelming, because it's like really fun actually, but there are moments where it's like I'm neglecting I don't even want to admit this, my part of my self-care routine right now is literally playing like ROM hacked Pokemon games, which I'm sure you don't even know what that is. Seamus, you might. Which is and it's funny, on our last episode we recorded right before you, we were talking about creativity. And to me, I love the fact that people are so creative with the inner workings of game mechanics. They've created their own versions. So I'm fascinated by the fact like someone took the original art that is the OG game I played when I was my son's age, and we were bonding and connecting about this thing, and I get to play it again and also get to share this experience with him. So like it's part of my unplugging. It's like, and I get and I'm playing it on hard mode. I'm legit like, and it's crazy. It's like I'm getting so frustrated with this game. I'm like turning it off. It's like, fuck this. Like I'm not getting anywhere. And it's like, but it's relaxing. Again, going back to like what I'm talking about. Like, and it's part, like, again, like who the hell does self-care that's like literally like, and it's something about the fact that this is like, again, it has this nostalgic feel. It helps me like relate to like when I was younger. It helps me kind of think about like how my son's getting frustrated with his current games. And it's like, again, my escape right now is that. So for everybody out there, if you're listening to this, you made it this far, and I know, if you're around the same age as me and Pokemon has a deep kind of connection point in your life, maybe you liked something else, maybe it was Dragon Ball Z, whatever. I don't know. But this one's a big one for me. Like it's fun to watch people get creative and experience that thing. So the one I'm playing right now, for all these wondering and listening, is called Recharged Yellow. It's built off of the game engine that Emerald, which was like the 3rd generation. So you get like enhanced graphics, but the old school storyline, God almighty, it's a beautiful thing. So that's my quick aside there too.
I love that it has recharge in the name, and that's exactly what you're using it for too.
Isn't that
That's
ironic?
like the biggest win ever.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
That's so funny you say this, Marcos. So I don't know if I told you, but so Jessica, I'm working with someone too, and it was during Thanksgiving to like Christmas. My brother brought out like his phone, and he's like, "Oh, I'm playing this game. It's called RuneScape." It was a big part of my childhood.
Oh, I remember. James, let everybody know that I called you out on this. You were talking about getting back into an old game. I was like, bro, you're out here like playing a speed run through RuneScape, aren't you, or something? He's
Exactly.
like,
And
bro,
what
how did
happened
you know?
was I told my therapist about it because video games for me at some point, like during the lockdown, Jessica, um, it took over. It took over. Like it was like my second job. Like I like actually like could do damage. And it was bad. And it was like yelling. They call it rage quit, Jessica. Like it's just like yelling and just like apparently like how violent teens can get violent, but like they're just only getting violent at their TV. That was me throwing things. So I haven't played video games in like 5 6 years or 5 years or whatever. And so I was like talking to my therapist, and she's like, "Well, what did video games do for you, right? Like, what was if it had to serve a function, a need? What was the need, right? Is it a bit of escapism? Is it a bit of recharge? What is it? Is it novelty?" I was like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, I don't know. And she's like, "Well, this time of the year, this is Thanksgiving to Christmas time. It's kind of like a downtime. Like there wasn't much going on with work. We're kind of like it's a slower season or something." And then I kind of told her, yeah, it's just like it's an old game. Like it's from like early 2000s. She's like, oh, it's not like one of those like hyperactive, almost realistic visuals, right? And she's like, do it. Go have fun. And Marcos was right. I played it, and 2 weeks later, I was done. I like had to get the itch again because my brother like showed it to me, and I was like, this my childhood, my second grade. Seamus just had to finish like a loop that never closed.
So fun.
But yeah, there was something about it. I definitely did get a recharge for sure.
So wish I could have been on that phone call. We could brought it up here, and the fact that I called you on that so poignantly.
You did.
But like I mean, again, the ability to do some things that, again, everybody must have their own version of self care. I mean, it's funny that Seamus and I kind of do share that, and maybe it's just like an age thing. Like that was like big for us. Is it, Seamus? Like you just said, it was like you didn't finish it, right? It was like, did you almost leave it intentionally unfinished at a younger age? So that
You know what it is? I think what happened was, as kids, like Jessica, this is probably happening with your kids right now. Like you just get into other hobbies, and other things just take up your time. And I think around that time, I think the Rubik's Cube was put into my hand or something like that.
oh God, your other passion project.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what happened, and I just got stuck with that, So
Yeah, I mean the self care, the recharging. Well, maybe we've coined something else there. This actually is a good feeder into my next question here for you, Jessica. Like self care often does feel as though it's a buzzword, right? It's something that I mean, self help, self care, whatever. But my question to you is like, how do you define it in a way that feels authentic to you, and how does it intersect with the way you experience or give love?
I think if I think of the definition for self care for myself, it's just I'm going to use the word love again, but how am I lovingly taking care of myself? How am I just the same thing I would, when you look at a baby and kind of what they need, what to anticipate, how to take care of them. I would say we need to look at ourselves in that same way. Like, what do I need right now? How can I take care of myself in that way? And now the second part of your question was, you're going to have to remind me of it.
How does it intersect with the way you experience and give it? So that your definition kind of almost did that, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've made the connection a few times. I think I have a blog about it, but the five languages of love in relationships. How do
Well,
people
we might know it, but you got to tell the audience. Remember, like let's
Yeah,
see,
remind it to the
nothing.
audience. Yeah, I
Okay,
need a
let's
reminder
see.
too, though. I think I need a
Let's
reminder.
let's see if I can pull this out now off the top of my head, but it's acts of service, right? Physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation. There's another one.
Gifts.
Gifts. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So I think we know kind of in relationships some of the things we need to really feel cared for in a relationship. And I think you should know those things about yourself too. What do you need?
I'll tell you right now. Dude, my fiance
Well, I'm a
knows.
quality time and physical touch person for sure. Like those rank highest for me. Words of affirmation. like it's not really how my parents ever expressed.
He just
Like,
disappeared.
my camera died for a second there. I knew it was eventually going to happen. Now I'm on fucking low definition. Goodness gracious.
No.
Oh
So
no.
what were your love languages again, Marcos? Say that one time.
Mine are physical touch and a quality time.
And it wasn't words of affirmation because your parents you're saying something
Yeah,
like
it wasn't words of affirmation because it wasn't something that was like super huge in like my life, with my family, right? And not to say my parents weren't caring and things like that from that, but even my wife is like, you guys are just like, like you could just do it better kind of people, like you never compliment. It's really hard to get a compliment out of the Riveras. And I was like, yeah, no one cares, work harder. Gifts are a weird one because I feel like there's a level of like reciprocity, or I have to reciprocate in some way, shape, or form. And it's like this endless loop of like giving back and forth to one another. And I don't like that. So, point in case, like my son had his birthday party, people gave him gifts, and now I went out of my way. And again, like I really do. I'm glad we built this connection with the lady that does amazing card work, because previously I think is like, man, like this idea of doing the thank you card like we do for all of our guests here is something that is kind of cumbersome. It's the next gift. And then they're like, oh, I got to send a thank you for the thank you. It's like this back and forth. So that's why I don't really like it. Just like, hey, I appreciate you. Thanks, we're done. And then what was it? Words of affirmation, gifts, and what was the other one?
quality time.
No, not quality time, but the other one ranks lower for me besides the other two. Acts of service. There it is. I do feel like that one is like right in the middle for me, right? The other two would be lower, but I feel like everybody could probably have a 1 through 5 and there's a combination of them. But like, again, the reason why the other two are at the bottom is just like my upbringing. And then also like the fact that I feel like it'll be a never ending cycle of like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So Des has it so on point, and she calls it out so fast after we read that book. She's like, I know exactly what you are. But she's like, words of affirmation, you need that. And like, you need to feel significant and like powerful by like the words that I give you. And I was like, okay, thanks. I appreciate it. And quality time, I think I really just love, and going back to like the multiple words of love, like the love for family, like the love for your spouse, and then like the love for your like other people. Like I'd rather spend experiences with people, like me and my mom. I really love to just watch a movie with her, with me and my brother, like that's what we like had a plan to do that like this weekend or something like that. Just like if I'm feeling burnt out or like just kind of mentally drained, like just sitting with them and having like a lunch movie at AMC, it fixes me, like that's kind of like a self-care kind of thing, and life's good again. So I like that. In terms of like the quality time, touch is really good. Obviously, I think touch is just really important. I think that's.
I wonder if it ranks higher for men.
I don't.
I think it typically does, probably.
Yeah, it's somewhere there. I think it's probably top 3 for sure. And I would say so. Words of affirmation, quality time, and then probably acts of service is probably under touch. And then gifts. I'm kind of the same with gifts, Marcos. I like to give gifts, especially like to my fiance. Like her 30th is coming up, so I'm like thinking of cool things. Get some gifts. I couldn't care less about like a gift for me. I'm more like functional. Like I told her, I was like, if you want to get me a gift, like one year she got me like the shoes that were like for training. I'm like, perfect. Like those are the ones I was gonna buy myself, but you got it for me. So it's like perfect. I think of gifts as like I think more of a functional kind of like thing. Like if someone were to give me like get me a new, I don't know, like dishwasher, like for example, you know what I'm saying? Like if that was like a gift, I don't know if that makes sense, but like that's just how I think about gifts. I don't really think about it as like get me something that is luxurious that I just don't necessarily use as a function.
You want utility.
Yeah, I don't know why. I
like
like
your optimizer brain is showing, bro.
Dude, I'm so sorry.
I feel like the same way with my wife. I'm like, look, what do you want? And she's like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose. I was like, well, here's the thing. Knowing you after these years of being married, like I will buy Brittany a gift, and if it's not the right size, she'll keep it. She won't return and get the right size. She's like, well, like you got this thing for me. I was like, yeah, so that you can fucking use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like that about gifts. Like, I think there have been some gifts that like I've been given, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this, but okay.
Trying to get what you need, bro.
Right. But yeah, Jessica, that's us. But yeah, great point, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of fun to think of it in terms of yourself too. And you can always buy that gift that you really want for yourself. But
that's why it ranks low. It's like Amazon. I could buy your book, right?
There you
I could
go.
buy myself what I need.
Yeah.
It's, again, I feel like it's probably ranking maybe lower and lower as you can get the access to everything is so easy. But who am I
Yeah.
to say? Maybe people drop a comment below and tell us what you think.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Just what do you think about that? Like, I'm willing to give gifts. Like, I really want to give gifts. Like, I want to do that. But like, it's not really anything for me specific. Where do you think that kind of stems from? Or like, have you thought about that before or anything?
Gosh, it's funny because I keep running across, and I don't want to put a gender on this, but I've keep running across men that say this. Please don't buy me anything. I don't want anything. It's gonna get awkward, you know. But I don't know. I mean, we could dissect it a bit and go into it, but
Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I
it's kind of weird. Like it's odd because it's like it's nice feeling taken care of. It is. It is. But it's more like not a thing. I would like an experience. That's for me. For me personally. Like if I were to be taken care like if someone was like, you know what, James, I'm gonna gift you a dinner. You don't have to pay. I got it today. Like that's you know? But if someone got me like a thing and there again, Marcus is like, if there's no utility to it, you know, like I'm like, you know.
well, and I think maybe that's just the point is that the gift for you is the experience, the time with people. That's what you find more special versus somebody going out and buying you, you know, I'm not sure what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, he doesn't
Um,
need a Gucci handbag. But my wife did a couple of years back, and then it sits in the closet. You know what I'm saying? She's like, well, it's special. I don't want it to get ruined. I'm like, I mean, I would rather it get ruined. At least then you use the shit out of it. You know what I mean?
Someone got me a Gucci like wallet, like a Gucci pocket thing for men, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'd love
Yeah.
to use it, but I'm again back to utility. My phone is my.
So Seamus has a $400 wallet that's just sitting in his safe at home. All right,
I
good to
know I'm
know.
so stupid, man.
But I mean, that whole concept of like the love languages, the concept of different like definitions of like love, like the different words for it, the fact that you're saying like the self-care is expressing that kind of self-love and that love and that definition, like you said, to help you what you're again how you were going to go about experiencing it and giving it and receiving it, like you just said. It's like it is so personal, it is such a unique thing. And yeah, I mean the deeper question of like why is that one ranked number one? Okay, so what you didn't tell us your number one, Jessica. What's the number one for you, and like why is it ranked number one?
Mine is definitely quality time. And I think in my relationships, that's super important. My relationship with myself, I'm an introvert. And so where do I recharge? I recharge by myself, you know, kind of in my own little cocoon. And that quality time with myself is so huge. And in my relationships, it's quality time with others too. That's huge
Can,
for me.
Jessica, can I ask real quick? Being a person that's like a person that works with mental health and all these things, and having like clients do that, how do you do that as an introvert when you're client facing constantly? How do you do that? Because I ask selfishly because Marcos and I are also always person facing all the time, and like it's hard to recharge sometimes when you go from one appointment to the next.
I think it's really important for people in professions like that, that we all have again self-care routines that we put into place to recharge, right? Because it's funny too, I think I get a lot from speaking one-on-one with people, and so I do, even as an introvert, like if we can get into those deep topics, I do really like that. But then I know at the end of the day too, I really do need to recharge. I need some time. And so like even before picking up my kids at the end of the day, right? I need some music on. Sometimes it's need some tea. Right, we have to wind down before we get to that next thing. And on weekends too, I think it's important that we build that into our weekend routines, our daily routines. That's where my morning routine is like huge. If I miss out on that, I can definitely tell the difference throughout my day.
Yeah,
So I think it's just finding those ways to recharge ourselves.
Marcos, this is so
Funny,
funny.
it's funny. My video game has now turned into the theme at the end of
The
the
theme,
episode.
yeah, it's just so
It's fun.
funny to me because we were talking about this, right, Marcos? Like how multiple people have brought up the routine, making sure you recharge. The hustle culture is just so much higher nowadays, and it's like
it yeah, it's so true. And I mean, I think I would let everybody here know that, like, having the elements of that, again, self-reflection, the self-care, the recharge routine that is going to allow for that is like really, really huge. And it's cool how this all kind of came together for this episode today. This is, I need to recharge with my wife after this. Granted, Or again, I ask more of her in these capacities. And, while this is like a development podcast in all areas of health, right? Like sometimes we're not always great. We're good practitioners of it, but we're not necessarily great followers of it ourselves, right? We can always be a little bit better at taking a little more time for the self versus the family. And, obviously, Jessica, with your kids, I know you, like you did, it's just natural to prioritize them, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And more and more and more, and not prioritizing self. And I needed a reminder of that today. Today I had a coaching meeting with my own coach, and I left the call. I was like, yeah, fucking, why haven't I not had a coach for this long? It's been a minute. But that was my self time. I was like, it's so funny. Seamus, you know this. It's like when we do our episodes, sometimes it's like, shit, it's been a busy day. I know that I need this, but I'm having a hard time just getting into the call. But then the same thing with her. I was like, man, I'm just going to tell her I don't need it today, or I'm going to do 30 minutes. I don't really want to dive into myself right now. But then after leaving it, I was like, let's effing go. Today feels going to be great. That's I needed that hour for us to talk about me. God damn it. I needed me.
Dude, that's why my standing call every week with my therapist, it's there every Tuesday. And I'm like, what am I going to fill this hour with? And we meet every week. It's not like every month. There's a lot every month, right? Or every 2 weeks. But every week, so only 7 days goes by. And I'm talking to her, and I'm 15 minutes in. I'm like, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. But then in my head, that's what I'm thinking to myself. But then she asks questions, and then she's figuring things out. And I'm like, an hour goes by. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so great. I feel so enlightened,
It's so much. It's funny.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too that appointments like that just help us to really reflect on ourselves, understand ourselves more, accept ourselves. And then what you're saying too, that energy you feel to go out and do more. So I think having those appointments are great. And sometimes we have to make those appointments with ourselves too.
So put it in the calendar is what you're saying. Lock it in.
Yeah, from you both have workout. I guarantee those are every
non-negotiables. They are.
Right? Are they not?
5 to 6:30 every day is my time. Non-negotiable. Okay. Granted, it's with other people most of the time, but it's my time to be with those people and not worrying about work in a sense. We're talking about it, but we're brainstorming and coming together as guys that are trying to lead our families and feel good. So you're right. Mm-hmm. It's turned into sacred time in a sense, right? And on certain mornings, certain individuals will tell me they're not making it today. And it's okay, cool. You know what I mean? I still got to go out and walk and do these things. And it's all part of it. It's non-negotiable. And, again, Seamus has that too. I know he has his self-care time like that with fitness, but maybe we do also need more self-care time with our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts and our business ideas and things that other people can be a neutral third party that doesn't necessarily care. They care about us, but they're they don't really, they're being non-judgmental in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to wrap this up, because we're at an hour and just want to respect everybody's time here. One last question. And sorry, Seamus, I feel like I've been asking all the questions today, but
no, please.
Feeling good. See, this is what happens, right? If you could leave our listeners today with one open-ended question to ponder about love and self-care after this episode, what would it be and why does it matter to you?
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to something I talked about before. And that one question I would ask of anyone is just simply, are you acting out of love or are you acting out of fear? So that would be my question to check ourselves.
Hell yeah, look at that. Are we acting out of love or are we acting out of fear?
That's the title. That's acting out of love or fear. Boom. Boom with Jessica Faith Graham. All right, well, Jessica, we appreciate you. Seriously, thank you for coming on. And I think, it's crazy because we could go way deeper, but this is really great. The concept here of love, self-love, and all the different versions of love. And then also teaching that to our children, to your children. You came out there and you wrote a book and you have to deal with all the doubts and all the thoughts that came with that. And then it came into fruition. So that's why I had to get you on here. It was super powerful. It was an act of love and creation that, is hopefully being more fruitful by putting you on the pod, highlighting it and getting more people to buy it. But where can people buy your book and where can people find you if they want to work with you? And if they want to just reach out, where can people find you?
So The Love Inside is on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. You can also go to my website, find out all about me and the work that I do. And that's my name, jessicafaithgraham.com. So
Perfect.
Beautiful. Also, a
all
fun
there.
fact, I just saw this. Philatia, the Greek word for self-love. It's literally one of the loves. It was in there all along.
Look at that.
So
It came full circle.
it came full circle. I knew there had to have been one for there, but that's why these ideas and concepts in these podcasts are always so much fun. Thank you again for coming back for part two. And I know there was hiccups and back end. Rachel, we already apologize in advance when you're
Sorry.
getting to this edit. But yeah, Seamus, is there
Okay.
anything else? Any closing remarks that we have that we point over here or over there, like try to
Honestly,
click
I
a
would
link
just
or
say we'll
something?
put all the links in the description below, wherever you find us, whether it be Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. And yeah, make sure you give us a like and give us a share. We're growing, you know. If you find that you were listening to this episode and we're starting to think of ideas about how to love yourself a little bit more, whether that be a new self-care routine, getting a little bit more sleep or exercise or talking to somebody, and maybe that talking to somebody might be Jessica, or you want to just listen to a book or read a book with your child, go get her book. But yeah, guys, thanks so much, Macro Perspective peeps. We're out.
Thank